and welcome to episode 24 of the Cheerful Podcast, a podcast all about crafting and being creative and living as a creative and cheerful a life as I possibly can in my little corner of the world down here in the south coast of the United Kingdom. My name is Nicky and I am the host and CEO of all things Sheep and Cheerful, and I will be talking to you today about oh my goodness, all my makes and my crafting inspirations and all the things that have been going on since I last recorded a podcast. As I said, I live in the south coast of the United Kingdom with my husband, two grown-up children who have semi-left home, and of course, goes without saying really, our two English Springer Spaniels, Honey and Henry, one of whom has taken herself off and has gone to lay down. The other is out in the garden. And he may well appear at this window at some point because, as you know, Henry does love to photobomb my podcasts. It is 2 weeks, or is it 3 weeks? I've missed the last 2 weeks' podcast, so apologies to those of you who were looking forward to that, and apparently there are some of you who look forward to it each week. I've had a pretty rollercoaster couple of weeks, a few things going on, myself not feeling super chipper, so as I say, I like to keep things on the up and cheerful, so I just felt that it wasn't really a good time for me to be podcasting. Plus it gave me time to do lots of other making that I can share with you, which is really cool because I have got a huge pile of stuff here, so much. So make yourself a cup of tea or coffee, grab a biscuit, you might want to grab a pillow, take the phone off the hook and settle in for some majorly varied crafting. You'll also notice, those of you who've been watching, thank you for hanging in there and coming back. Those of you, if this is the first time you've watched this, then welcome and thank you for checking out the podcast. I keep wanting to say vlog because, of course, we've had Vlogtober, so a lot of people have been vlog this, vlog that, vlog. But, of course, this is a podcast. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, as you can see, I haven't changed much. I have changed where I'm recording, though, because one of the issues I've had, first world problem to be honest, but my crafting room's in the front of the house and it doesn't get an awful lot of natural light. It does have a bay window, but the sun during the day, I think probably first thing it hits it, but then it goes over the top of the house and it becomes a bit dark and grim. I don't have any fancy schmancy lights or anything like that. And I really don't want to buy any because I've got enough stuff in my room. And let's face it, if I'm going to clutter it up anymore, I want it to be with crafting stuff, not with electronics and technical stuff. So I thought today, especially as today we are very much blessed with a blue sky. There's Henry walking around. We've got beautiful blue sky and sunshine. It's very chilly. We had a frost, our first frost of this winter. Or this autumn, I should say. But we are in my kitchen and it's very light and airy. We have, if you've watched any of my vlogs in the past, you'll know that we have a lantern roof in the kitchen, so a bit like a conservatory roof. And so we get a lot of light. It does mean it gets quite cold out here because obviously we lose a lot of heat through the glass, but it does make it beautifully light. And I believe you've got a bit of a view of the back garden, not much of one, we've got the patio. So yeah, change things up a bit. This is my little techno corner. This is my record player. And then that's where I keep my computer in there. You really didn't need to know that, did you? Anyway, a jolly good morning to you all, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you're watching it, welcome. Now, what have I got to talk about? I don't know what order to do things in. I'm not going to go over too much what's happened since I last chatted with you because, well, that's gone, isn't it? that's gone. Whatevs. And I say that because I probably couldn't even remember. So, oh, now I've got Henry standing there. Just a moment. I am just going to let him in. Okay, we're back. He is now in. He's right there. And the chances are he's going to come and try and get on my lap. But I apologise in advance. But, you know, we'll see. On the upside, I have told Hannah that I am recording a podcast in the kitchen and she's got to stay upstairs. So there you go. Right, a little bit of sort of administrative things, as people say. We have a Ravelry Group going on for the podcast. So if you'd like to join in, we have a few make-alongs going on. We have lovely knit and natter thread where you can share what you're working on, and that's Henry's nose. So I'm going to be stroking him while we talk. Yeah, come and share what you're working on, share your pattern thoughts. We have a thread chatting about acrylic yarn versus natural fibres. There's an advent swap that's actually happening as we speak, so that's actually closed to new people, but if anybody wants to do a swap of any sort, then you can always shout out on the group. It's lovely. So I won't go into all the make-alongs and things today. If you want to have a look, do check out the group. I haven't been on there very actively for the last 2 weeks, but I'm hoping, I know there's been lots of stuff being posted, so I'm going to check that out in the next couple of weeks, then the next couple of days, sorry. Also, I should say that I don't think I replied to the comments on the last podcast a couple of weeks ago, because that's when things started to get a little bit rubbish. So I apologise for that. I did read them all and they make me smile and it's lovely. So if you don't mind making a comment when I can't guarantee I'll actually write something back, I do try, but it is lovely to hear your comments, it really is. So thank you for that as well. And we are, you know, the subscribers are going up slowly. I'm ever hopeful or excited that we might make 2,000 subscribers, which is amazing. So yeah, let's see if you like this. If you want to see any more or be notified about more podcasts, then click on the subscribe button and you can make me smile even more. Right, what have I got here? Yes, just a heads up, podcast notes here, and yeah, talk about heads up. Henry's head is now well and truly in my lap, and if we're lucky, he'll probably start making sort of grunty noises. Because he's always been a snuggler, my Henry. Can you see if I bring his nose up? There's his nose, look, right? You're not coming up, no. Yes, we are approaching, obviously, that time of year, Christmas. And last year I did a November vlog. It was my very first attempt at vlogging or getting in front of the camera in any consistent way. And no, you're just going to stand there now. Well, you can sit on me just for a minute, just while I'm talking about this. Okay, no. Hello. Done it again, haven't you? You're going to steal the podcast. Right, yes, and I did quite a lot about books and classic literature. Anyone who knows me, who's watched these, knows that I'm a big fan of classic literature. Hence the name Clara Peggotty as well, for those who might be wondering. And last year we did a read-along because I said that every year I read, in December, I read A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, or as Matilda says, Darwell's Chickens. And it's quite a short book. It's a lovely, either an introduction to classics or it's an easy, it's a relatively easy read for Dickens. It's quite short and it is just such a fabulous book. You can read it with your children, you can read it with your grandparents, you can read it just yourself, but it's such a lovely read. So this year I'm going to be doing that again. I'm going to be doing the Christmas Carol read-along, and it basically just means that throughout the podcasts in December I'll be chatting a little bit about the book. And last year it worked quite well. I divided it into four bits. I think there's either 3 parts or there's 5 parts to it, but they split quite nicely throughout December leading up to Christmas, so you don't have an awful lot to read each week. And then I'll probably set up a thread in the Ravelry group, or we can discuss it here on YouTube for those who can't get on the Ravelry, and we'll just read it and enjoy it together. So if you fancy doing that, see if you can get hold of A Christmas Carol. You could pick up a second-hand. There will be loads of second-hand books available. Even new, it won't be terribly expensive because, of course, it's such a classic book that you can pick up really cheap copies. Quite possibly, if you have the Kindle app, if you don't mind electronic books, reading electronic books, you can actually. A lot of the classics are free. I've got one of Henry's hairs in my mouth. You're welcome. You can download it probably for free. I haven't checked that out yet on the Kindle store on Amazon. Or yes, you could actually buy a copy and support our authors and our booksellers. Entirely up to you. Many of you will already have copies that you've had on your shelves for years, or that you picked up last year when we read along together. But do have a look at that. I really commend it to you. It's such a fantastic story, and so brilliant to read actually at Christmas time. So there you go. That's my plug. The Christmas Carol read along will start whatever. I don't know what date or what day December the 1st is. Of course, the date will be December the 1st. You know how good I am with dates. But the closest podcast episode to the 1st of December will kick it off. But I'll give you more details nearer the time. I might even include a little knitting thing with it as well. Or crafting. I don't know. We'll see. I don't want to give you too much else of work to do, because obviously, it gets a bit busy, doesn't it, around Christmas. So that's that. Now we need to look at some knitting and some crafting, don't we? And I actually need to I think I'm going to have to kick this lad off my lap. Although my first finished object, I can show you if I can manage to lift it without actually disturbing Henry. Let's give it a try. Oh, gosh, I don't know if I could do it with one hand. Okay, give it a go. Look at that. Can you see that? Okay, I'm miles away from the camera, it seems, but I think you can see that. Sorry, Henry, if I'm disturbing you. This is a finished object. It's a finished sweater. Right, I'm going to have to kick him off now. It's not even big enough for you, is it? Eh? Come on, down you get. Go, good boy. You lay down on there. Oh, and of course you have wet paws from being in the garden. Dogs. Right, I can come forward a little bit. Look. How stinking cute, coin a phrase, is that? I love that. It's a little roll neck sweater, and I don't know if you can see, but it's got a cable. It's got a cable down the front. So this was made a couple of weeks ago. This was my October Christmas bauble. So this will be the entry for our Christmas bauble along that's in the Ravelry group at the moment. I set out the target of making 3, possibly 4 new knitted or crafted decorations for our Christmas tree this year. So I did 1 September, 1 in October, 1 November, and then the 4th in December. So this little thing, it's so cute, isn't it? I just have to keep showing it to you. Look at that. How brilliant. If you had a little doll, or if you've got children and you had little dolls, it would be such a cute sweater. The pattern is from, because I've left the Bloomin book in the other room, it's from Sue Stratford. There's a little book from, I think it's Knit Press. I'll put the details down below, and it's something like 20 mini knits for Christmas, something like that. Put that side there against the white. And it was in there, and it took me not very long at all. It's a bit fiddly to sew up. It's not knit in the round. I mean, what's that all about? I think next time I might knit it in the round. So knit it in pieces and then seam it together. I seamed a sweater. I seem to seem in time gone by. Sorry, singing. And the yarn, what am I trying to say? If I hold it there, can you see it there? The yarn is from last year's Christmas yarn from Mr. B and Birdstreet UK. Not sure if it was Claire or John who dyed it, but it was called I'm the Gingerbread Man. And you'll recall from my vlogs earlier that I have actually got a pair of socks in this, my pair of Christmas socks, which I finished at the beginning of this year. And I had a leftover, probably about 30 grams. So I made a little sweater, and then I sent the skein on it, obviously self-striping, and I sent that off to a friend for her to be able to knit some shorty socks. But I just love this. I'm going to put a little hangy thread on it, and we have a Christmas tree in the kitchen, which is generally one of crafted things, so felted ornaments, things that I've made over the years. I don't know if I put the Nordic, the colourwork baubles on that I've made. They might go in the lounge tree. We have 3 trees. Okay, let's get that out there. When we moved to this house a few years ago, it's quite big, and I decided that I love Christmas. I love Christmas. You know that, don't you? How much I love Christmas. And the kitchen is big. So I thought, right, I want a kitchen Christmas tree, because I spend most of my time in here anyway. So we've got one for the kitchen, and we bought fake ones. We thought long and hard, and we invested in 3 fake Christmas trees because never sure about real trees. Plus they get messy, and husband doesn't like the mess, the pine needles dropping and all that. Anyway, doesn't matter. We got these trees. So we have one in the lounge, one in here, and one in the dining room. Whether we have the dining room one there this year, I don't know, because Gary's going to have to come back and work from home because of the new regulations, and the numbers are going up. Those of you who know will know that he suffers from an illness, which means the treatment for which makes him highly clinically vulnerable for COVID, so he will be coming back home to work. Seems to think I'll be making fresh bread every day for his lunch. Yeah, I don't know where that one's come from. Anyway, I digress. Surprise, I digress. Little sweater, it's going to go on my knitted ornaments Christmas tree, and that will be the second one I knitted. In fact, the knitted bauble was in this as well. So I've got gingerbread stripe bauble, and I've got the sweater. So item number 1, and it's only taken me about half an hour to get. Let me just have a quick sip of coffee. Apologies, look away or have a sip of your own at the moment. Right. Okay, next thing. I have another finished object, which is also very exciting. Those of you who have been watching will know that recently, back in probably the beginning of October, I made a pumpkin beanie hat for one of Hannah's best friend's little boy, Regan. He's coming up for 2. And I made him the pumpkin beanie hat by Dole Valley Girl Knits, Lisa, I think it's Seifert or Seifert, I'm not sure how you pronounce your name, Lisa. If you're watching, I do apologise. But she's Dole Valley Girl Knits on Instagram and Ravelry, so do check out her patterns, they're lovely. And she came up with this lovely mock cable pumpkin patch beanie, which I made for Regan. Then, of course, the floodgates opened, because I don't have any other toddlers or sort of babies or anything anywhere near in my life at the moment. I'm that in-between phase, so I'm not a grandma or an auntie or anything like, well, I am an auntie, but my nieces have grown up, so too much information. Anyway, I believe I might have said that last podcast that I wanted to knit the high point hat, which was a free pattern over on the Purl Soho website, which I visited last December. Can't believe I actually went there. And so I thought it would be so cute to knit for Regan for Christmas, and possibly a matching one for his mum, Jordan, because she loves all that. She loves the hats. So I did order, again, it's a fingering weight pattern, but I also ordered a DK weight, or I think it was Cascade 220, so worsted weight red yarn. So that if I decided to make one for Jordan, I might just change it into heavier weight yarn with needles and adjust the stitch size so that I didn't have to spend hours on a fingering weight hat that might only be worn 3 times. I love my knitting, but not that much. Anyway, turns out I got through it really quickly. So I have knit Regan's hat, and here to model it, we have a seasonal option. Actually, I will show you the hat first. No, I will show you it modelled first. I don't know, I keep thinking I need to get a hat model. But look, oh, look at that. This is Regan Pumpkin. And this is his little Santa's elf beanie hat. Hello, hi Regan. Except he can't talk yet, but you know. How cute is that? I love this hat. I love everything about this hat, and in fact I want to knit loads of them. So I'll have to come a bit closer again. So there you go. So I will take it. Thank you, Pumpkin Regan. You can go up there for now because that's finished with. So this is it basically. So I will just talk to you about this for a moment. The yarn is Cascade fingering weight. Yes, it is Cascade fingering weight, and it's fingering weight. Okay, so, and this is a free pattern, so I don't feel too bad sharing it with you. You can get it off the Purl Soho website. Just type in high elf. Oh my goodness, high point hat. So you cast on down here. This is the child size. So Regan is coming up for 2, and their patterns went from newborn, 0 to 6 months, 6 to 12, 12 to 24, and then child. And he does have quite a large head. The beanie that I made only just fitted him, so I opted to knit the child size because it might last a bit. It's so easy to knit and so quick. I couldn't put it down actually. It's all stockinette, knit in the round. It's a rolled brim, so you don't even have to faff around with rib. So there you go. And then you can see, hopefully, as I turn it, it's just got these circular, these decreases. And you just decrease every other round when you get to a certain point. And because you're only literally doing a knit 2 together every other round, that's what brings you up to that high point. And then a pom-pom, because all elves should have a pom-pom. Or mini Santas, whichever way inclined you might be. I'm so tempted to put this on, you have no idea, but I don't want to stretch it. There is actually, at one point I lost my concentration, or I don't know what I was doing, probably watching a film or something. And when I came back to finish it off, I realised I dropped a stitch, so there's a slight repair in there, but I managed to pick it all the way up through, so that was fine. But yeah, look at that. I need more babies to knit for. But it was so quick, and to be honest, I think this was 120 stitches cast on. And you knit up to that much, and then you start your decreasing from there. And I think the adult one is only something like 145 stitches, so I don't even think the fingering weight adult one would take that long. I just make one for myself. I'm making a hat for our postman, but I daren't make him one like this. I could do that, couldn't I? That would be really fun. Anyway, we'll see. Purl Soho, high point hat, really good, really great make. Absolutely love that. So we obviously won't be seeing, quite warm now, we won't be seeing Jordan and Regan for a few weeks now, because obviously we are in the UK, have got tighter restrictions. It's kind of a quasi-lockdown. It's not a total lockdown, people are still going to work, but the fun stuff is closed basically. So, do you like my t-shirt as well? I might have to stand up. This is one of my new t-shirts. I go up. There you go. You'll know, those of you who've bought my knitting record cards know that I've used that on, oh, I'm sitting on my cardigan now. I've used that on some of the covers of the books I made, and I love it. So I thought, I'm going to get myself a t-shirt. So I found a really good website that's all environmentally friendly production and cotton and all that biz, and you can then choose what you have put on the front. And I got this one, and I did get another one which I will wear at some other point to show you, because I think they're so cool. I so love them. It's not something I've really done before, and I thought I'll wear this for my podcast. There you go. Right. Okay, what else have I got to talk about knitting wise? These here. That's all my crafting stuff. Okay, I tell you what, I have a confession, okay. A couple of weeks ago, I watched Cherie's podcast, Ollie and Bella. Those of you who, again, who've been watching a while know that Cherie and I are great friends. We chat all the time. And so I watched her podcast, which was great because that was when I wasn't podcasting. So it was really lovely and cheerful for me to be able to watch her podcast. But I got totally sucked in to one of her purchases. And I'm just going to show you. Look. I bought a bulgur basket. I hope I've said that right. And of course it had to be pink and purple, but I love that mustard. And it's so big. This is the medium, so I got the same size Cherie had got. I went on to wovenology.com, is it, or .co.uk? Wovenology, anyway, and I saw this. And do you know what? Cherie and I were talking about this, and we were saying that a lot of project bags cost more than this. So, yeah, granted, you can't stick this in your handbag and take it down to the doctors with you, but, you know, it was so, and it's one of those sort of community projects where you've got people in particular villages making these, and I'm trying to remember whether it's Zambia or Zimbabwe. I'll put the link down below anyway. I do apologise. When I was preparing the podcast, I completely forgot that I was going to talk about this, so this is totally off the top of my head. And as you know, if you've seen the top of my head, it's quite empty. Anyway, so I bought that, and this is where my knitting items are that I want to share with you. So, first one then. Now, you'll also know, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I've been making project bags. And I started off making Christian project bags, I suppose. Religious, no, I hate the word religion. Christian ones, faith ones, scriptural ones. So this project is in this bag that I made. It's the same on the front and the back. It says, live freely, animated and motivated by God's Spirit. And I used, and I've attached on the front some stitch markers that Cherie had sent me, which are all faith-based ones, which are really, really lovely. Oh, and a caravan. Because I don't know about you, but I forget sometimes what stitch markers I've got, or progress keepers. Look, can you see that? There. It is so cute. Anyway, this one. I have been doing a test knit for Lindsey, who is Stitch Create Love on Instagram, and she has been dipping her toe rather wonderfully into the design pool, and she has a sock pattern out already. Oh, and I'm going to forget that as well. Is it the bee socks? Again, I'll put a link to Lindsey down below anyway. I know she's working on another pair of socks, and I think she's got a shawl design on the go, either in her head or she's working on it. Lindsey, I'm so sorry if I'm saying things wrong or giving away secrets. Anyway, I saw a clip. I saw her version of these socks, and I was chatting to her and I said how beautiful they were. Again, faux cable. She knows I love faux cables. I will not do cables on socks, but a faux cable, there. And she said, did I want to test knit them? And so I said, yes, of course, I would love to. And I had bought a skein, I think, did I talk about this last podcast? I can't remember. A skein of one of Kelly and Nick's Lay Family Yarns Christmas colourways called Plum Pudding. And I thought, as this is called the Seasonal Fruits socks, I thought I would use those. So, black and white picture, I'm afraid, but that's the pattern. So this is kind of the provisional pattern I'm working from. So Lindsey Tranter, who is Stitch Create Love on Instagram and on Ravelry, and I'm totally allowed to share these, I did check. And as part of the test knit, we had to get the first sock done, finished. I think this pattern is being released in the next week or so. And, oh, I haven't sewn my ends in, of course. Here it is. Ooh, go over that way. Can you see that? The trouble is, because it's a slightly darker, variegated yarn, it's whether you can see, let's have a look, the actual pattern. When I put these on, they looked so different because it's stretched out the lace. There you go, have a look. So you've got this faux cable running down. It's an 8 pattern repeat. And then you've got this lovely sort of lace, simple lace section either side, which frames it. It doesn't twist, that's just twisting on my arm. So again, because it's funny, I'm in the kitchen, so I normally have my sock blockers here, but of course they're in the other room and I'm not going to go and get them. So let me just hold that up again so you can see that pattern. Really, really pretty. Then I've got a contrasting toe, which came with the sock set from Lay Family Yarn. That's the colourway, a better idea, because obviously the the sole is plain stockinette. And then she uses a German short row heel, dog hair there, which she explains. There's videos as well. Lindsay's done videos and instructions. It's a very, very detailed pattern if you're a beginner having a go at making socks and, you know, doing the heel and even just doing the stitches on the front. Lindsay has got all that covered, so it really is very detailed. And then it's a twisted rib cuff. Now also the pattern allows for you to go toe up or cuff down. I knit these toe up on magic loop, but the instructions is quite a long pattern. I printed out the whole thing, but I think probably if you buy it, when you come to use it, choose the pages, you know, if you're doing cuff down, obviously print that bit. If you're doing toe up, print that bit, and so on, rather than print, you know, half a rainforest. I think there's about 16 pages. And it is all well and good. That's not a criticism at all, but there is no need to print out the whole lot. You just go through and take out the bits that that are going to be relevant to you. She's also, it's written instructions and it's charted. I worked from the chart because I actually found that easier. And she's also, this is for the German short row heel, so I think I could probably, and she's basically done a table that tells you if you don't know how to do a German short row heel or you want to keep track of what you're doing, she's done a checklist table for you. So she's really thought of everything with this. And I don't know, I suspect her other sock patterns are going to be the similar methods. So really worth keeping an eye out on her for her patterns. The only thing I don't like about doing toe up socks, which isn't a criticism of this pattern because it's for toe up socks in general. I prefer knitting toe up socks actually, strangely, but I hate the same old thing with the cast off, with the stretchy bind off. I don't like that flare. And that's, I get that with both. I've tried different stretchy cast-offs. This one is the one where you knit one, knit another one, knit two together through the back loop. I think that's the one. But, you know, whatever, it is what it is. I don't think I ever used to do stretchy bind-offs when I did toe up, but then I rarely did toe up, so I honestly can't remember. And what I don't want to do is get these finished, put them on, I'm going to have to rip that out again. So, you know, they're socks. We're not going to be looking at them like this, are we, for very long. So they're going to be on my legs. But this is unblocked as well, did I say that? So I do give you one more look at it. And then sideways on. And again, this is to show you the yarn as well. I think Kelly and Nick have still got this yarn available, or they'll be doing an update there. So it's a half object, and I have to confess I have fulfilled my test knitting obligation, but I have kind of lost my sock mojo at the moment. So although I will cast on sock number 2, I'm not sure when I will be, you know, it might be a few weeks before I pick that up, or I might just do it really slowly. No reflection on the sock at all. That is simply because of the way my crafting urges are taking me at the moment. You know, as creative folk, we have to follow those urges, don't we? Right, okay, sock number 2. What's the other sock? I will briefly mention to you the Father Christmas, another Bloomin' Christmas sock. Again, you see, I have lost my sock mojo, so this should be finished, but it's not. I'm on sock number 2, and you'll see I have, I've come down the leg, I've turned the heel, and I'm just on the foot now. And this is the second sock. I think I showed you the first sock because I was raving about this colourway. Debbie did succumb to pressure, so this yarn is Down Sheepy Lane. It's another Bloomin' Christmas colourway based on the Raymond Briggs story of Father Christmas. And I know Debbie put it in her shop, and I know it's sold pretty well. I don't know if she's still got some in there, but it is the most fantastic Christmas colourway. I'm not going to rave on about that. You know how much I love that anyway. So that's that. And I finally, that's another one of my homemade project bags. And this was another project bag that I made. I will show you the bag, and then I'll briefly talk about the socks. So this was another scriptural, well, not so much scriptural, but a Christian one. It's so cute. It's got, he wrote about me in his book, that's the way he made me, God made me and put his stamp of approval on me. It is so cute, this fabric. So both this and the Galatians quote I got from Spoonflower, and they've got some other there if you're interested in looking and having a go. And I paired it with gingham because in my world everything should be paired with gingham. And then I think I showed you last time, yeah, this one isn't super finished on the inside. I finished them better now. This was the first one though, but look at my stamp. I got myself a stamp. So if you can't read it, it says Hugs from Clara, because that's how I started off with my blankets with weaving, and my Etsy shop is called Hugs from Clara because I like to send out hugs to the world. So that's that bag, and these are my Dotty Wool Company socks, which I had knit but I hadn't finished. So there you go, I have another half object. No sock blocker again, but this one, I think last time I showed you it was just waiting for the toe. So the toe got added. These were my October socks, along with my Goosebump socks from Helen, Giddy Yarns, but I failed epically on both of those. Hey ho, there's no knitting police, are there? This again is just a vanilla sock. Love this yarn, navy and red stripe. That's right, we talked about Dennis the Menace, didn't we? The Beano. And this heel for these socks, in the heel toe, sorry, the toe in the seasonal fruit socks, and I think in the Father Christmas socks, I did a standard wedge toe. But this one I use because I like using the round toe, which is, that's not really showing up, is it? You can see it's a bit like the decreases on the elf hat. You do circular decreases, and I use this from the Lara Neal sock architecture book, but I think there's quite a few around and they've all got different names, but I think basically you get even circular decreases for the toe rather than making it a wedge, decrease and then sort of up the side like that. But anyway, Dotty Wool Company, I've got some more of their yarn. I bought one of their Christmas colourways, but we'll wait and see, because I'm not going to show you because I'm not knitting on it. Right, so that's that. The other bag I made, which I showed on Instagram, so if you've already seen it, my apologies, was this one. It's a Peter Rabbit Christmas bag. How cute is that? And again, you'll notice there's a theme, the gingham. Gotta love gingham. So that was just another Christmas bag. I'm actually making lots of project bags at the moment. Many of them I'm going to keep and some I'm going to give as gifts to friends. I did think about selling them. Some people asked me if I would be selling them in my Etsy shop, but I have a real issue with selling stuff. Turns out that it stresses me out. So I don't know is the answer to that. Certainly not at the moment, but a couple of people reached out to me and said, have I got any of the fabric left? Could I make them a bag? And I did. So I've done it on an individual basis, but just just isn't for me to try and push sell stuff and mass market stuff. I say mass, I talk about the 20 people who might go look at my shop. Oh my goodness. Right. So what else have I done? Oh, I've got two more new cast-ons to share with you. A work in progress. Yep. Still going strong. Right, another thing I decided, I am all about handmade Christmas this year, as much as I possibly can. Handmade gifts for everyone. And even people who I don't normally give to, I've decided to give them presents because I want to make everything basically. This is for someone who I will not say because they may well watch the podcast. So actually a lot of these things are gifts for people, and I'm not going to say anything about who they're for or where they're from or all that, so that you might have an inkling it might be for you, but you might not. So just pretend you don't know who these are for. I decided to knit for one of my friends a market bag because I love mine. I use it all the time. And again, I failed epically because I should have brought one to show you that I've made. Anyway, I decided that I was going to make, I have a reasonable amount of linen. I have several skeins of linen in my stash, the Lithuanian linen, which is very, very light fingering weight. I wouldn't say lace weight, but it is a very light fingering weight yarn. And a few years ago, I was very good friends with the lady who now doesn't dye yarn anymore, Kate Williams. She's hand dyed by Kate. Lovely lady, and she dyed the most amazing yarn, and I did a few shows with her. Anyway, I ended up with some of her linen because I loved it and she was trying to get rid of it. So I pulled that out and I decided to knit the Ilene bag. This is not the pattern I've used in the past, this is a different one. It's actually one that I saw on Amber's podcast, Yarn Hoarder, and I thought it looked really great and I thought I would give that a go. It's a very similar pattern to the one I knit before, but it's this one. And again, it's a free, can you see that? My screen is full of sunshine there. It's a free pattern and it is the Market Bag by Hannah Ingalls. Many of you will have seen this, it's not new. And I am using this Lithuanian yarn. You can't get this particular colourway because, as I say, Kate doesn't dye anymore, but you can get this linen yarn all over the show. It's very popular. I think Midwinter Yarns do a lot of this, but I know Millie sells it in the shop, Tribes sell it, and you can see there just how thin it is. I mean, basically it's like string, it's horrible stuff, but it's fantastic stuff at the same time. It's very crunchy, it's very hard. Some people find it really hard on their hands. I'm all right-ish with it, but stupidly I'm using wooden needles. Really I should be using metal, but I can't be too lazy to change them. Anyway, that's the yarn. I'm holding it double, so I'm pulling from the inside and the outside, and this is the progress I have so far, which you can't really... Oh, I'm all tangled now. Tangle, mummy. There we go. Right. There it is. Gosh, that looks really dusty, doesn't it? Shouldn't do. I think it's because I'm in sunlight, you can see all the dust. So there it is. So you can see it's got a stockingette bottom, and it's rectangular, this one. The one I've knit before has been more square, and then you're coming up the sides doing yarn overs and 2 togethers to get that pattern, and this will be really, really super stretchy. And then this particular one has a single shoulder strap that you make, and I'm going to be making one because I only had 1 skein of this, and it does take a bit more than 1 skein of this particular one. I think other yarns will have different lengths on them, but with the one from Kate I was going to be just short. So I've got a contrasting colour, and you do put a band around the top when you get to the top, and then the strap. So I'm going to actually be making the band around the top and the strap in a different colour, in a pink, different pink. So, or a sort of fuchsia, I think, memory serves me right, but that's still in my stash. But these really, really give. And okay, it looks a bit raggy at the moment, but they're fantastic. I really, if you want to give a useful handmade gift to someone, these handmade shopping bags are brilliant. You screw them up, throw them in your bag, and then when you're out and you think, I don't want to pay 5p for a carrier bag, or I don't want to damage the environment, you just think, oh, I've got my market bag, and you can stick it in there. So yeah, that's another Christmas gift on the way. So really, really not enjoying making. It's okay. It's a bit hard though to knit, but you know, I put in a few rounds each day and we're getting there. So that's that one. Then finally, in new cast-ons, I have cast on a new project. Oh, I've got one of my Christmas sachets in this, and it smells divine. Right, another Christmas project bag that I made because I couldn't resist the fabric. Look, it's all, so this is, I think it's Wren Designs, the fabric. I was getting muddled up between Wren and Alex Clark, but I think this is Wren. Can you see? Look at that puppy with the reindeer horns. You've got a cat, you've got a stocking, a little bunny in a stocking. And what have you got here? Oh, these two. Oh no, they're over the other side, hang on. And it's upside down, this one. You've got these 2 little pugs. And then there's a donkey. Where's the donkey? There's the donkey. I just couldn't resist this. I just thought, and you see I've gone for stripy, not gingham on the top. We've got gingham ribbon though. And all these are drawstring because I'm currently in love with drawstring bags. Absolutely love drawstring bags. They've all got box bottoms and they're all lined. So I think that's all right, isn't it? And I have actually done the inside a lot better of this one. I've finished the seams a lot better. I haven't stamped this one either because I'm keeping it. But with this, originally it was going to be a gift, but I will do this for the ones I'm gifting. I made a little matching sachet of Christmas fragrance, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. But that has cinnamon cloves and orange peel in it, and it's... And I pinned it to the outside to look nice, but actually I just drop it into the inside because then when you open the bag you get the most gorgeous scent. So that's the bag. Anyway, so all these projects are kind of double whammies really because they're knitted stuff on the inside, but I've also made the project bag. See, been a busy girl. Now, do you ever have the time when, you know, you look at patterns and think, oh, that'd be nice, that'd be nice, that'd be nice. But then, that's it, that'd be nice. Sometimes you see a pattern and think, yes, do it. And that's exactly what I felt about with this pattern. And there are so many reasons why I'm so excited about this pattern. But first of all, I will show you the pattern. It is a sweater pattern, and you can tell I spent time on the Purl Soho website. Well, actually, I've just started following them again on Instagram. So this came up and I knew I wanted to knit it. So it's called Wherefore Art Thou, and it's by Norah Gaughan. And it's very simple, but really effective. And there are some really nice little details on it. You see those sleeves? So it's got the bishop sleeves, which I love. And then it's got various details. It's got a really pretty raglan decrease. Can you see the raglan decrease? It's just scary, isn't it, when people throw things really close to the camera? Anyway, that's the pattern. It's called Wherefore Art Thou Pullover, and it's by Norah Gaughan for Purl Soho. And I should say, when Hannah and I went to New York, we were blessed enough to be able to get to New York last Christmas. So we were there on the 16th until the 23rd of December, which is amazing. There are vlogs available. We, of course, went to Purl Soho and we went to Knitty City. And Purl Soho, I hadn't realised what price difference there was between yarn in the USA. Yarn in the USA. It's a singy one today. And yarn over here. And I couldn't justify spending the sort of money. And I really wanted to buy a sweater's quantity of yarn as a memory of my New York trip. But I couldn't actually find anything in there. I did buy a couple of single skeins, but I couldn't stretch to a sweater's quantity. Oh, my t-shirt's all caught up now, isn't it? Oh, just not good at this lark. Then the next day we went to Knitty City, which was amazing. I love that store. It was dark by the time we got there. It was pouring hard with rain. We'd been walking through Central Park in the rain, and we'd been to the Met and got soaking walking to the Met. But we'd had the most amazing day, and it ended up at Knitty City, which is kind of to the, I think it's the northwest of Central Park. I'm not very good with those sort of directions. Anyway, it was wonderful, and I had such lovely chats with the ladies in there, and I ended up buying a sweater's quantity of yarn. I laugh at this. I ended up buying Malabrigo. So I went all the way to New York and came back with a sweater's quantity of Malabrigo yarn, which I could just as easily buy over here. Doesn't matter. It's the thought, isn't it? It's the point of the thing that I bought this sweater's quantity. I had in mind a very complex cable sweater by, oh, what's the name? Vera Valimaki. And I'd taken it was a pattern from Interpretations, and I'd taken the book with me, and I got enough yarn, and because it was a cabled sweater, obviously it was quite yarn heavy. And then it sat there. It has sat in my stash. It's worsted weight yarn, and I have to be a bit careful with heavier weight yarns because I'm not a small lady. If I wear anything chunky, it tends to make me look even chunkier. So I just have to be a bit mindful of that. But when I saw this, I thought it's not an oversized sweater. It wants worsted weight yarn. That's this pattern here. I can make it reasonably cropped, which will be good. That's more flattering on me. I love long sleeves, and I have tried on, when I went to Unravel in February, way back before lockdown ever hit us, I tried on a sweater similar to this at the pom-pom stand, and it was cropped and it had big sleeves, and because it was cropped, the big sleeves were fine. I don't think I could wear a long oversized jumper with big floppy sleeves. I think I would look like the Michelin Man, but this would be fine. So I thought, I'm going to pull out my Knitty City Malabrigo yarn. I'm using a Purl Soho pattern, and to top it all, the name of this pattern is Wherefore Art Thou. It was the same day that Hannah and I walked through Central Park went past the theatre in the Round that's in Central Park and saw the statue of Romeo and Juliet outside the theatre. If that's not meant to be, what is? That's what I say. In fact, if you want to look on if you're on Instagram, look on my highlights, my stories. I've saved the New York stories, and there's a picture that we took in the pouring rain of Romeo and Juliet in Central Park. So that's a long story, isn't it? But this is the sweater that I decided to cast on, and I did. I didn't even do a blooming swatch at gauge square. I just thought, no, I've got a fairly good idea of my tension, and you knit, there's still quite a bit of positive ease with this one, and I tend to knit on the tight side, so I knew that even if I was slightly out, I'd still got about 3 or 4 inches to spare, or 5 even. So I haven't made a lot of progress because I cast on and I was going to do loads, and then I got distracted by other stuff. But that is the yarn. That's the yarn that I bought. It's Malabrigo Washted, it's called. So it's 100% superwash merino, and I do believe it's singles. Just drop that on the floor. That's nice. It's so soft and it's singles, but I don't have a problem knitting a sweater in worsted weight singles. It's fine. So it's like a denim-y, indigo-y colour. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm alternating skeins. Oh, the colour is, I think it's Cowboy. It's called Cowboy. Hang on. Colour number 215. Can you see that? Can you read that? I can't, but hopefully your eyes are better than mine. And then, that's got the price on it. You don't want to see that with the price sticker on it. It was about the same price in the UK as it was in the USA. So no, it's got a price over it. But it's Malabrigo Washted, worsted weight, 192 metres to 100 grams, 100% superwash merino wool in the Cowboy colourway. I don't know why it's called Cowboy, but anyway, and this is, it's top down, and this, oh man, I think I need to get some needle cozies for my projects, because I do get them in a terrible state. This is as far as I've got, but it's a start, and you can see how brilliantly that's knitting up. It's such a rich colour. And then I've got the really pretty, the really nice bit of detail. I don't know if you'll be able to see that on the raglan increases. It's actually, you don't knit the rib, you go back and pick up the rib. So this is the neck, and then we're going to go back and add the rib on there. So, and using one of my all-time favourite stitch markers, very simple but perfect. Can you see? No, you can't really see it, can you? It's a diamond, a Swarovski crystal from my friend Soraya, who is Malika on Instagram, whose stitch markers I've talked about before. I absolutely love them. I'm also alternating yarns because, as you know, with Malabrigo or any hand-dyed yarn, you can never be sure of getting slightly different colour shades, and Malabrigo are infamous for having variations between their skeins. So I'm alternating, and I'm using the helical method, which I've not used before, and it's brilliant. I really recommend it to you. It's one of those ones that seems like an awful faff when somebody's describing it to you, but once you start to do it, you think, oh yeah. Do you think, oh yeah? Anyway, I'm alternating skeins every round using the helical method. So have a look if you haven't looked into that. It's worth looking at on YouTube for one of the tutorial videos. Hopefully I will get some time onto that. But of course, it's not a sweater. I would like to knit it and finish it in November, but I may be being a bit optimistic. It's worsted weight though, isn't it? If I could get the body even, because I've got another sweater's quantity of yarn, very special sweater's quantity coming, and I thought that will be my Christmas cast on. So I do want to get this finished by Christmas so that I can cast on the next project. which I won't tell you about now. Once that arrives, it's somewhere between here and California at the moment. But that's as far as the tracking will tell me. Okay, so that's that lot. How are we doing for time? Probably loads. I think we're nearly at an hour already. But never mind, it's all good fun. Sarah, have I got any? Oh, a bit of cold coffee left. Okay, so one other knitted thing that I wanted to share with you was progress on my log cabin blanket, which again I have posted on Instagram, but I have done 3 blocks now, so I've only done 1.5 more than when I last podcast. I'm keeping this in one of my all-time favourite hand-woven project bags. So I wove this fabric and I didn't quite know what to do with it, so I cut it, turned this bit round, so I cut it off the bottom, turned it round and sewed it on there. So you've got a 2, there you go, directional, and it's hand woven with a lot of my hand spun yarn as well as my yarn scraps. So I love this, it's nice and sizable. So last time, I think I'd done the pink, hadn't I? Done the pink log cabin, and this is a pattern by Very Pink Knits. Stacey, can't remember her surname, but I'll look in a minute. So that one there. Oh, I've got the pattern here. It's a free pattern, isn't it? I'm pretty sure it's a free pattern. And it's so easy to memorise. It really is. I really, again, commend this. I know a few people have picked it up since I showed it last. Log Cabin Scrap Blanket, Stacey Perry, Very Pink. So I finished the blue one, or had I finished the blue one and not the pink one? Anyway, so we've got the blue one, we've got the pink one, and then I have now finished a green one. That's got a stitch marker on it at the moment, but I need to keep it somewhere safe. So that's my green one. I have resigned myself to the fact I'm going to have to use some colours twice, but that's fine. So green, blue, pink. I am so excited about this. And I put a post on Instagram about it and said I'm going to have to buy some mini skeins because I want to do colour blocks. You suddenly realise, don't you, that your yarn palette or your scraps are kind of similar colours, and I want a variety of colours. Oh, there you go. It's really nice when you look at it like that. And a couple of people reached out to me, wonderful, wonderful Instagram friends, and said, you know, I've got some yarn, do you want me to send you some scraps? You only need, because I weighed these, I only need 10 grams of each, for each log, as it were, maximum 10 grams. Some of them, the smaller ones, I don't even need that. I'm holding the yarn double, so this is fingering weight that I'm holding double, and even holding double for the very biggest, which is this one, so this is the last one you make. I'm actually only need 10 grams. Okay, sorry, a bit of an interruption there, so I had to stop recording. It was Hannah. She came down to get lunch. I mean, for goodness sake, how inconsiderate is that? I mean, it's 1 o'clock and she expects to have lunch. Actually, she came down for a bit of cake. That's fine, we'll let her off. And I was saying, yes, about 10 grams. I just need 10 grams for each of these. So some lovely peeps on Instagram, or some viewers reached out, and I've had the first package, which was some lovely, gorgeous reds and oranges and yellows from Ali. So thank you, Ali, so much. She sent me such a lovely package. And I know Madzia is going to send me some, who in the past I've sent Madzia some as well. Magdalena, sorry, I call her Mads. Anyway, and a few others have reached out. So that is great. So it really, truly will be a kind of a friendship, a podcast blanket. That would be really cool. Look at that. Oh, he's just so gorgeous. He's so squishy. Sorry, I went into a silly voice then. So, working that, I am going to cast on probably the orange. Yeah, I think the orange one next. Hopefully I will have at least one more block done for you for next time. Okay, oh my goodness, we've still got lots more. Weaving. Should we talk about a bit of weaving? I've got a few weaving projects to show you. Now, those of you who haven't watched may not know, those of you who watch may not know, I weave using a rigid heddle loom. It is an Ashford one, which is a New Zealand company, but I love all the Ashford projects, and when I've taught weaving, which I used to do pre-COVID days up at Tribe Yarns and a few other places, then I would always recommend Ashford stuff. Not sponsored or anything like that. I genuinely like, it's a family business. You can get them in the UK, right, and I just like them. But other looms are available. So the rigid head loom, as you know, probably many of you will have seen the blankets I make. Don't make so many of them these days because they're quite physical, quite hard work, and you know, the old energy level ain't what it used to be. So I make slightly smaller things. And of late I've been making tea towels, if you remember. I do love hand woven tea towels. So I've made a couple here. They're slightly more neutral colours. I ordered a whole variety of Scapier's cotton from the internet, and I've been using those colours, and my lovely friend Irina gave me a huge cone of natural cotton yarn, so I've been just mixing and matching really. I don't know, I think I may have showed you this first one, but I will show you this because I've got its partner. I like to make them in pairs because I have a pair of tea towels. Well, anyway, so that one, so it's in half. I think I may have shown you this before. That's about the size that I make them. So this one I've got stripes and it's mostly in a nice neutral. So the one I finished last week, actually I need to trim the fringe a bit more, is this one. So it's just a check. There you go. And this actually is a grey. It doesn't come up so grey once you put it next to the cream, but it is the same grey that I used in the middle of those stripes, which is why, how come they're kind of a pair and go together. Oh, I'm not doing it the right way. So yeah, and they've actually come out both the same size. I'm quite proud of myself. I turn in and hem the edges, and then I zigzag stitch along the warp edge and leave the fringe. Or well, I cut the fringe, and then when I wash it, the cotton frays nicely and makes it look really pretty. So I finished those two. So they will go on the gift pile. I want to make some more. I want to try and make one a week, 2 a week, I'm not sure. Anyway, so that is the pair. So I think they're really lovely. They're machine washable. You could tumble dry them, but they'll shrink. But they won't shrink beyond recognition. I know this because I did. I made one and I threw it in the tumble dryer, and it just comes up a bit smaller than it starts off with. But there's no reason to tumble dry, is there? I mean, just sling it over a radiator or on the front of the, if you've got an oven with a rail on the front, and they'll soon dry. So that's 2 tea towels I have woven, and I used my 32-inch rigid heddle loom for those because I like to make them 18 inches wide, and I've got a 16-inch loom and a 32-inch loom and a 48-inch loom. So I put them on the 32-inch and obviously just centre them and make them 19 inches because then that allows for shrinkage and the hem turning over. So that's the tea towels. I also had some yarn that I've been wanting to use for a while to make a really snuggly winter wrap. So it's not a throw. Remember I showed you the throw a couple of weeks ago that I've made, which is still sitting in my craft room. I haven't cut it up, so you're okay. But I wanted to make one that was long enough to be a really good wrap. Now this came off the loom last night, so it hasn't been washed, it hasn't had its bath, and I haven't dealt with the fringe yet. I don't know if I'm going to twist the fringe or leave it as just as an untwisted fringe. But here it is, and it's quite long, so I may have to stand up to show you because it's different. Hang on. So that's the one bit. So you're not going to be able to see me, but that's no great loss. Up to there, and then if I then turn it round, it comes down like that. So if I stand up, oh, knocking things off. So you can see that it's a really nice wrap. You can see how wide it is. So it's a good, so you could wear it out and you could pin it there, or you could just sit in front of Netflix with it over your shoulders and kind of wrapped around like that. I'm really pleased with this actually. It's chunky yarn that was donated to me by a pal. So what I did, I mixed it. So this is from New Lanark Mills. That's a British company, and it's 100% wool in this beautiful sort of mild, it's sort of purpley pinky colour. I don't know if that's coming up on the camera or not. And then I added in this pink here is my hand spun. So I used that, which was a similar weight. It's kind of a worsted, slightly chunky weight. This is, this cream is undyed, chunky kind of roving, basically it's singles. And then this is an Erica Knight chunky yarn that I had in stash. And then this one in the middle, which is actually this one here. This is hand spun, again, by me. And it's actually core spun, and you can't, I don't think you can see it. I should have got you a sample. So you can see the lumps and bumps. So it's like little, well basically that's how. Core spun, meaning it's yarn that is roving, that is spun around another piece of yarn, so you get like a spiral effect. So we've got sections of that, so there's a real variety. If I do that, of but all on the sort of the purpley pinky theme there, and then you've got obviously the fringe, which I might actually leave it as a fringe. I think I'm going to stitch and reinforce the edges and then just trim that and leave it as a lovely fringe, because I think that will be gorgeous. So that's that came off the loom last night. And again, this was actually on my 32 inch, but it was, I think I made it about 24 inches wide. I thought that would be wide enough for a wrap. So that's for a cold winter's night, snuggled up, doing some knitting or some crafting. But it really is, I'm really pleased with that. And actually it was the first time I used, for those of you who know anything about weaving, excuse me, it's the first time I've used a 5-dent heddle. So heddles come, which is the bit, if you imagine a loom and you've got the bit across the middle that you lift and drop and lift and drop, and on a rigid heddle loom, anyway, that's how that works. And you have slots in those heddles, and for very fine yarns you go for 12.5 slots per inch, so that makes them very narrow. For average kind of DK weight, you might go to the 7.5 dent per inch, so that's 7.5 slots that the yarn goes through per inch. And then for chunky yarn, if you put chunky yarn on the warp, you go for something like 5 dent per inch, which is much bigger. It gives much. So if you imagine, it's a bit akin to knitting on, the chunkier the yarn, the bigger the needle tends to be. So with weaving, the chunkier the yarn, the smaller the dent size is per inch. So you get like stitches per inch. So you would get 5 per inch rather than 12 per inch. See, as I often say when I explain things, clear as mud. Anyway, I don't tend to put chunky yarns on the warp. I tend to warp with finer yarn and then I use chunky on the weft, but actually I've done both on there and it's come out really nicely, really well. So really pleased with that one. Okay, so then we're on to a bit more mix and match crafting now. Moving on, and you'll see my drink has magically changed from coffee to Diet Coke. Flat Diet Coke because nobody else puts the lid on properly. Hey ho. Right, did I talk to you about my scented sachets last time? I can't remember if I did, so I'll be brief just in case I did, because I don't want you to get bored. God forbid you get bored. You've already turned off by now. I had this thing about making fragrance sachets. Now, a lot of the makers do these and they put lavender sachets in with their yarns, or they sell little lavender sachets. And I did talk about this, I think, because I made the cedarwood ones, didn't I? And I just ended up making a box full because at the time I was going to sell these and I was going to sell them and raise money for charity. But then I had a wobble and decided I didn't want to. But I've still got them, so you never know once I get my act together. So I've got these. So this one is you'll recognise this from they're all in little sealed packets. I've actually got all these ready to sell. This one is called Grandma's Blanket Box, and it's cedarwood rosemary essential oil. Cedarwood essential oil, dried rosemary, and dried orange peel in rice, which gives it a carrier. So can't really smell them through the bag. But this cedarwood, if you like cedarwood, that's why I called it Grandma's Blanket Box, because I thought it was so reminiscent of the wooden, or it would be lovely to be like a cedarwood blanket box where Grandma used to keep all her crafting stuff in. So I have got a fair few of these actually in here, and some of them are also in the Mary Poppins fabric, which is really, and again, Grandma's Blanket Box. Then I made some that I was playing around with vanilla. You can't get a vanilla essential oil, it's kind of a synthetic one. But I made ones that I used orange essential oil, vanilla and ginger. And it's called Vanilla Orange Cello with a dash of ginger. So that's what I called. You can just about pick up the ginger in it. It gives it the warmth, but it's mostly orangey with a sort of an underlying hint of vanilla. So they were a happy accident, really, those ones. That's on the Mary Poppins fabric. And then I've got some of those. And then my favourite ones, though, which I cannot get enough of, and I've still got some of this. I've only got a few of these. And I called this Smells Like Christmas. For those of you, again, classic reference, there's a character in Charles Dickens' Bleak House who famously says, smells like ladies. And it's really creepy, but it's not meant to be like really lecherous, but he's a lecherous old man, and he has, I think it's a handkerchief, a lady's handkerchief, or somewhere he goes and he says, smells like ladies. So we always joke about that in this house, and so this was Smells Like Christmas. Anyway, so this has, well, these are the ones, so these are slightly more luxury because they're made from wool fabric from Moda. I got this from. So there's that one, and on the back I put a plain red, and you can see on there Oh, where are we? There. Smells like Christmas. So it's got cinnamon, orange, cloves and orange peel in there. And so I'm doing these deliberately slightly more luxurious looking because it's Christmas and it's all got to be red and lovely. So I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with these. I just worry, I get stressed about selling stuff, but I look at them and I think this is ridiculous. They're just going to sit there otherwise. I would like to sell them and raise money for charity. So I don't know. Going to put that on thought. You can, if anybody has any particular thoughts about it, I'm not asking for, oh, they're wonderful, you must sell them. I don't want that sort of thing. I genuinely, I don't know, if people think they might like them, then I will sell them for £3, £4, £5 each. But the money will go directly to charity. I'm not worried about taking out costs or anything. So if I sell them for £4 each, £4 will go to charity. So I'm pondering that one. We'll see. We'll see how that one goes. I also, just moving on to some sewing, I have started watching. I decided come November the 1st, then all bets are off. We're going to go for Christmas. We are going to enjoy. I want to create a beautiful Christmas spirit around the home. We don't have to wait till December for that. And really make it lovely and really enjoy it. I'm not good post-Christmas. I tend to dip. Once Christmas Day is over, that's it for me. I have really struggled in the past, and just between you and me, I took the decorations down on Boxing Day one year. That sounds awful, doesn't it? That was it. Christmas is over, I want to move on. You know, before Christmas, oh my goodness, I can't get enough of it. I love it. But yeah, once Christmas is over. I did well. The last couple of years, I've waited until New Year's Eve to take them down because we don't really do New Year celebrations here. And I love waking up New Year's Day with everything clean and clear. So I've managed to eke it out the last few years, but I certainly remember Boxing Day, day after, I'd take the decorations. But humbug. Anyway, so I have now started watching. I'm trying to watch, if I can, while I'm doing either some crafting or some ironing or something, a Christmas movie each day. I'm not moving on to my favourite DVDs at the moment. I'm picking up the Hallmark Christmas movies. Praise God for Hallmark, that's what I say. And I've been watching a few. Oh, and the first one I watched was it was a log cabin, and it was in a town called Christmas or something like that. And oh, it was glorious. There were all these quilts and decorations and garlands, and I totally got bitten by the bug. And I thought, I want to have traditional Christmas American style quilts. Now, I know that I'm pretty certain I'm not going to get a quilt made between now and Christmas. Not with everything else I'm doing. But for my birthday back in July, my mum and dad subscribed me to a quilting magazine that comes once a month. And it just so happened that last week I got I don't even know whether it's the November issue. Oh man, here it is, or the December issue. But anyway, it was a Christmassy based one, and it had some beautiful quilts in it. It's from Today's Quilter, and this was actually a Christmas supplement that came with it. But there's lots of Mandy Shaw stuff in there, which I love. If you haven't seen Mandy Shaw's designs, you should check them out. I think she's Dandelion Crafts or something on Instagram. Anyway, they had a beautiful quilt. I'll show you this, which I absolutely adore. But again, I thought, no, those of you again who've known me over the past year know that I only really started quilting back in February. When I started a quilting class with my mum, and unfortunately lockdown hit us. I wasn't able to finish the class. I've got the quilt. I'm going to be finishing that quilt, but I'm only kind of a beginner, even though I can sew. I know my way around a sewing machine. I did learn so many tips and tricks in the class that I don't want to jump into something too complicated, because I know if I wait until somebody can help me, then it will be probably far easier for me to do. A long way round of saying, that I decided I would tackle a cushion first. And so I decided I wanted to make that cushion. And it's called Glad Tidings. And I just thought that was good. It's English paper piecing, this one. So you can do it on the machine, but I really wanted a hand stitch. I've been really enjoying my Hexie's English paper piecing, as you know. Again, that's got put on the side for a while because I've been doing so many other things. But I thought a cushion, it's a specific, measurable, achievable project. I had the fabric because I had lots of fabric from when I used to go to the classes, and I had some gorgeous red and greens, so I thought I can get straight on with this. So I then had to, and with my Hexies, I was buying, if you remember, Rachel Jarvis's pre-cut Hexie packs. So I've not actually ever cut out my paper pieces or my fabric yet. So I had to cut out all the squares and the triangles and the diamonds. That wasn't fun, but you know, again, put a film on, put a Hallmark movie on, and cutting and got the fabric out, and I started having a go. And I have got, don't worry, I'm not going to say ta-da, this is it, but I have now made, it's tricky, can you see? Okay, so there is, oh no, it's me going up, I need to look at it, hang on, it's that diagonal, and I can't do it. I can't do it. Anyway, I've made the central diagonal and I'm going to show it to you. Ta-da! Look at that. I'm so proud of myself for that. It's far from perfect, but I don't care. So just to give you a close-up of the fabric, got this beautiful green, rich red, and then the cream. That's going to be the background square. It's not plain. I don't know, can you see? Oh no, you can. I had the paper. I'm reusing paper to make the inner shapes, and it's some stuff I printed off for when I was studying for my masters. And that piece I actually put the wrong way around, so you can see the typing. I mean, that'll come off obviously. So let's look closely at that piece. Can you see there's little zigzags on that? And then there's going to be a light green contrast to that one as well. But I have never cut or stitched anything other than Hexies. So to get the diamonds was quite a challenge for me. The very centre of this isn't brilliant, it isn't perfect, although I pressed it and it's not too bad. I figure I can always put a button or something in the middle of the cushion. But I am really pleased with this. And so those bits, and I also am really pleased that I was able to use my lovely pouch from Rachel Jarvis, who is made by Rachel. And those of you who've been watching the podcast know that I'm a big fan of Rachel's beautiful work and those fabrics. So all my cut out shapes and everything are in there. It's got a little wooden bobble on it. I just dropped something. Oh, I dropped my work. Oh no. I've also, just out of interest, I bought, and I can't remember where I got these from, but I saw they were called quilting needles by Clover. I think when I did another order from somewhere, and I just put those in, and they've been sitting in my quilting bag. And I thought, oh, I'll try using those. And to start with, I thought, what, am I crazy? They are tiny. They are tiny. But I'm so enjoying stitching with them, doing the whip stitch. They're probably ridiculously the wrong thing to use. They do say they're quilting needles though, so. But it's making me enjoy this, even though my poor fingers aren't enjoying it. I need to get some sort of protection for my finger, but I'm so enjoying it. So I'm going to be pushing away on that one because I'm secretly excited about the fact I might get another cushion made as well. So this is the first one. The back here will just be plain, it'll be the plain cream. But yeah, super excited. So that's what I've done. And that's what it's going to be. So there you go. English paper piecing, and I'm just finding it so restful, especially because I've been a bit, felt a bit meh lately. Right, and there's still more to come. Shall I try and go very quickly? See what I made the other day? I made a rose. Look at that, out of manuscript paper. And I've used stamping ink just to dust the edges so that you get a pink dust on it. How pretty is that? I went over to visit my friend Jen, who you know from previous podcasts I've talked about. She's an artist and we've crafted together for years. And I said, right, I'd seen this in a Country Living magazine. So come on, we're going to have a go at making these flowers. And we each made one. And we had a lovely afternoon, a lovely couple of hours pre-lockdown making this. I need to wire it. I need to wind some green probably around a stem. Anyway, right, the last main thing that I've been doing, and again, sorry to keep saying it, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen this, is I've been messing around with felting. Not needle felting. I'm not to be trusted with that. Tried that before. My fingers still got holes in them. Again, I was watching, it was probably the same episode of Yarn Hoarder, and she was talking about wool dryer balls for the tumble dryer, which help you reduce the time of using a tumble dryer. And I had, being a spinner and a weaver, I had a whole stash of roving, and I thought it would be really fun to try and make some of these balls. They're very tactile, as you can see. I'm fiddling with one already. So I just from what she said on the podcast, I decided to have a go, and I was successful, and I made this very exciting white. But then I thought, can't see myself using these in my tumble dryer. I avoid using the tumble dryer where I can, but I can't see myself doing that because I had lots of colours as well. So what do? I decide to make lots of coloured ones. And I made a whole bowl full of coloured felted balls. I can't tip this without you seeing. So we've got blue, we've got, peach, they bounce, who knew? I've got burgundy, I've got that colour, pink, I've got some navy, I've got some really nice lime green, I've got a really soft mint colour, I've got a black one there. So basically, you can see that without me tipping it too much. I have an entire bowl of felted balls. But they're so much fun. They're a bit fiddly diddly to do, but I had thoughts about making a garland, a wreath. I was going to make a wreath out of these because I've made a pom-pom wreath before, where I bought a polystyrene wreath and I've put them all the way around and they looked great. But when I was playing around with this, trying to do a wreath, the trouble is you get a lot of gaps, unlike pom-poms, because obviously the pom-pom, the yarn spreads and fills a bit, but even if I wired them like that, I'm still going to get lots of gaps. And it was tricky to wire them and I wasn't sure. So then I thought, I'm going to make a garland for the Christmas tree. So I will thread these up on yarn and kind of put them, 4 or 5 inches apart, and then wind them around the Christmas tree. That slippery little suckers, as Julia Roberts would say. That's Pretty Woman reference, of course. That was my second original plan. Then when I was out on Saturday, I met up with, again, my lovely friend Irina. We met up at a local nursery, which has a beautiful little shop and with a few craft goodies and things. And again, we decided, we had a feeling that lockdown was coming, so we thought we'd try and sneak in a knit night. It's all socially distanced, so it's all perfectly safe and above board. And we met and had a coffee and a cake, and then we had a little look around the shop. And they had some Christmas decorations in. And on the top shelf, reduced. Oh, look at me, I'm knocking everything off. That's my rose now. We had this. Whoops. So it's one of those wire tabletop trees. I say Christmas tree very loosely because obviously at Easter you could use it as an Easter tree or whatever sort of tree you like. And I thought, wouldn't it be fantastic? These have all got little loops on the end. I've got to be careful because it's not that solid. I am going to put little loops on these and hang them. And all of these branches are going to have multicoloured baubles hanging from them. So it's going to kind of be like that. I might even put some glitter on them. How amazing is that? And do you know what? This was reduced. So it was £20, which I wouldn't have paid £20 for. Gary would have shot me at dawn because he'd not going to make that. It was reduced to £5. So I got this fantastic framework for my baubles for £5. It had to come home with me. It was a no-brainer. So come December the 1st, that will be featured with all my lovely felted baubles on. So that was really good. So another view of the baubles. Ta-da. And I kid you not, they are so tactile. You could just sit here playing with. Now, linked to that then, we're going to go back to my lovely friend Cherie. She said to me, oh Nicky, I've seen on Instagram where some people have made felted acorns. Is there any chance you could do that? And, you know, you could do some for me, because her excuse was that she didn't have an oak tree near her. And she knew we had an oak tree in the back garden. And she said, oh, could you get to do some acorns for me? And I said, of course. I'm laughing, but actually it was a joy. I'm always happy to do things people ask me to do, craft-wise, obviously. So I thought about it and I thought, it's going to be really fiddly. I went out to the garden and collected some of the acorn cups, which obviously are really tiny. And the ones I'd seen on Instagram were quite big. I'm not quite sure how that worked, but over here, our little acorn cups, pretty tiny. And so I thought it might be easy to needle felt them or even to just hand felt them rather than try and do them in the washing machine. But anyway, through a series of trial and error, I ended up doing them in the washing machine. And here is the result. Let's get my face out of the way. I managed to do it. So we have a mustard one. We have a double navy one. Navy and orange, because obviously you always get navy and orange acorns. We've got, oh, this one. This one's orange and green. And we've got, oh, you've seen the yellow one. And we've got a pink one. I'll show you the pink one because pink acorns are very becoming. Look at that. So I put them together, and again, I don't know if I can tip this because it'll fall off. There. Oh, there you go. Oh, there's a magpie going up on the roof, so if I do that, you can get an idea of what they look like. So I have this plate full of little hand-felted acorns, which are so pretty. They are so gorgeous. So the cups, the acorn cups, are from our back garden, and then I felted the seed. Oh, you've seen that one, haven't you? And glued them in. It was fiddly. I'm not going to be making any more, certainly not at the moment. But they're so cute. So what I'm actually going to do, I've spoken to Cherie. I think that's enough because I think that's really nice to display on a little tray somewhere. And I'm going to drop a little bit of orange and cinnamon essential oil on some of these. not all of them. She's got some more she's going to put on, but she doesn't have the orange and cinnamon, so that they'll be fragranced as well. And I just think, I just want to do that so they don't all fall off. They are really sweet. So I'm really pleased I made them. So thank you, Cherie, for asking me to make them. But actually, I'm really pleased. So they will be on their way. I've said before, a lot of the time, I am a process crafter, not necessarily a product crafter, which is why I tend to make so many different things, because I just love the process of creating. Hence the t-shirt. I think that's it. I think that's all I've made. I'm going to check here. I think I have gone through everything in my list. My goodness, I just can't make enough things at the moment. Yep, we've talked about the hat, selling stuff I've touched on, the bulgur basket I showed you, and the advents. What have I got advents there for? I don't know. Yeah, so I'm going to sit back. I'm shattered. I made this, by the way, not this week though. I think that's probably all I should talk to you about. I think this week is going to be particularly long, but I have got a few weeks to catch up, haven't I, to make up for missing. Next week will be back to shorter, I expect, and I probably won't have quite so much crafting to share with you, but most of it I was just super excited about. I've also this week got back into my Bible journaling, which I'm really enjoying. But and again, follow me on Instagram, you've seen a few of those things. And yeah, this afternoon I've got to do quite a lot of ironing actually. So I have set the ironing board up in front of the TV, and yes, you guessed it, there will be a Hallmark Christmas movie happening this afternoon. Then usual sort of thing, online shopping. I've got a few days now. Gary will be working at the office until the end of the week, and then from next week he'll be working from home. He also has a new treatment programme starting in a couple of weeks, which we're really hoping will ease his symptoms. So really, fingers crossed, if you cross your fingers, and prayers would be so appreciated for us for that, and for Gary as well. What else? I think that's probably about it. I'm obviously not going to do a book review, but remember we are going to start the Christmas Carol read along, Dickens along, whatever you like to call it, come the beginning of December. I will also be endeavouring probably on Instagram to put up an Advent prompt every day in terms of scripture, which you may find useful, you may not. It will be from a parenting book that I used to use with the children from years ago, and they're sort of starting points for further reading or for craft activities. So, you know, if you've got kids or grandkids, that might be helpful. Hopefully I'll be able to do that. In the meantime, I shall love you and leave you. I think you've had more than enough of me in your face at the moment. Thank you for watching. Thank you for coming back, even though I've been absent for a couple of weeks. I wish you a very happy November. If you're in America, my thoughts and prayers are with you during this election time. Obviously, that's going on today as I speak. And the rest of you, if you are in a lockdown situation, again, my thoughts and prayers are with you. Let's stick together. Let's find the joy in the everyday small things. Let's focus on keeping cheerful and perhaps enhancing the lives of those around us through that. And enjoy your crafting. Take care, and I will see you soon. My name is Nicky, and I will be your host and CEO of all things Sheep and Cheerful today, this Wednesday, the 4th of November. You'll be seeing this, obviously, either when it goes up tomorrow on the 5th or whenever, but basically today's the 4th. Does anyone else announce the dates? Do they just say it's Wednesday? Oh, I don't know, it can't be just me that does that. Let's try once more.